Hello, it's Wednesday. It's me, Julie Kim. We're back with another episode of Bothered. When you have a small child, it is a blessing and a curse. And the kid comes over and says something to her mom. I'm speaking to somebody, and the kid learns there's probably a dash of rude in there. Although I will confirm that sometimes, yes, they were talking shit.
Living like this, I might lose it.
Okay, here's something that happened recently. It's not a big deal. It's not like a microaggression or anything like that. It's not rooted in hate or race or gender, but it is a matter of what I call situational etiquette, okay? When you have a small child, it is a blessing and a curse when they have a friend and they are asked over for play dates. And when your children are younger, especially, you want to know, whose house they're going to, etc. So one time I brought my daughter to somebody's home. They had invited her over for a play date. And here is the scoop, okay? So you have the parents, the mother was there, and the mother is originally from a different country where they speak a different native language. Let's call it French, okay? But that person is completely fluent in English, lives, breathes, works in English, and then has a child. And that child at home speaks only French to the mother. So like we're here at this play date, we're having a conversation, the adults are talking, the kids are off playing, and then the kid comes over and says something to her mom in French, which I thought was cute because she has been instructed to speak French only to her mom. And then the mom spoke French to the kid. And that would have been fine if it was just like super short and just like one time, but it kept happening. It happened over the course of an hour, like maybe 8 times. And not all the conversations were short. They would go on and on. It would be a back and forth. You know what kids are like if you've ever been a kid or if you have a kid. There's a strong aversion to the word no. And there's a lot of negotiation nowadays in parenting. And I am somebody who knows this very well also. But it was like such a strange feeling to just be there in conversation with somebody and then that person just leaves. Now, this is not just your standard, oh, my kid is interrupting me, I'm going to have to deal with it. Like that is a thing that happens. There are some parents who say, I'm speaking to somebody, and the kid learns to wait. My kid has done that maybe 1 out of 100 times that I've asked them to. This is a totally different thing. The parent didn't make the child wait, and that's not a thing I would ever judge because I do it, and that would be hypocrisy. But they carried on in this other language multiple times while I was just sitting there. And what it felt like was it felt rude. Is it actually rude? I don't know. I will say that if maybe it feels rude to the other person, there's probably a dash of rude in there. They're speaking this language that I don't speak. I mean, as a Canadian, I have learned French. I took it because it was mandatory between grade 6 and I think 10. And then I think I took a little bit more French just because a friend of mine took French. Like I can't even say. Anyways, I had to just sit there and wait for their conversations to be over and then join back in when the mother was ready. This is not even the only time it happened. It has happened to us outside the home with the same parent and child. It's like I have to wait, just suspend everything while they have a conversation in a language that I don't understand at this point, and then I just wait there. It's awkward. I'm not gonna like try to understand. It's sort of like when you're with somebody and they're paying for something or they're at a bank machine and they're putting in their PIN and you're kind of like looking away because you're like, I'm here, but this is none of my business kind of thing. I don't know how I feel about this. Sorry, I do know how I feel about this. I do think it's fucking rude. I try to explore what else could this mean. This is what I learned a long time ago watching like a Tony Robbins video on YouTube. What else could this mean? Because I don't just want to like jump to conclusions. And I certainly don't think they're like trying to exclude me. I get that there's rules that parents have with their kid. They want, to I don't know, preserve a language or something like that. Like, I think that's fine. But in that moment, I'm just sitting there like I'm fucking furniture. Am I furniture? Do I look like furniture? That's what I'd do. I would just like sit here. Do you know what I mean? And feel like, oh, I guess I'm not here just for these few seconds. what I really wanted to do was just Google Translate. Maybe take a recorder and like just go like this. Do you know what I mean? I think it would look weird. It would look very weird to them. Would it be weird too if she looked over and she saw the words popping up, everything that she was saying, but in English? Anyways, I think that would be funny. The problem is that these little breaks, these little language breaks that they took were long enough that I could have been doing something else. It is my least favorite thing to just sit there and wait for someone to be able to talk to me again. That's why I have a podcast that has nobody else. Although I am going to have guests soon, and I think you'll really like it because I actually do like interviewing in English. Anyways, it would be fine if she was like, you know what? Sorry, can I just have 1 minute? You can go on TikTok and scroll, or like you can post something. You can post a thread about this if you want. And then my time wouldn't be fucking wasted. But unpredictably, my time kept being wasted just as they went off in conversation. Anyways, I found it very fucking rude. Am I the only person that's been a party to this? Absolutely not. Have my family and I also done this to other people? Kind of. Yes, my parents are native Korean language speakers. In fact, I myself am English as a second language because my parents had me over in Toronto, Ontario when they had just come to the country. So my parents actually had to point it out to me a few years ago, and they said, yeah, we only spoke Korean to you for the first few years. And then I went to school, and then for whatever reasons that I, might regret or might not regret, nobody's business, but I will probably share it with you because I share everything else with you. I did not speak much Korean after that. But during my childhood, my parents would often speak to each other in Korean when there were other people around, even in the store that they were in. Not because they were talking shit, although I will confirm that sometimes, yes, they were talking shit. And they were having to conspire in a way. There were people who came and like stole things. Or my dad might whisper to my mom, oh, that's the person who owes us $5. Because often people would come and they would take food and be like, I'll pay you next time. And sometimes they would never return again. Anyways, also, they speak to each other much more fluently in that language, and the store was also their home. So like that is what it is. But I would get very, very angry when I had friends over or when customers were there and I would be speaking to them and my mom or dad would be speaking Korean to me because I would actually just say, don't do that. It is rude. And I don't care as much anymore, like about, them doing that because they're older now. When they first met my husband and when my daughter was small, they would make sure to speak English. As labored as it was and sounded, they would speak English around them. But I noticed this past Christmas, they don't do that anymore. I think the effort is not worth it. I also think that, God, if I was in the car with like in-laws and they spoke a different language, I might like it actually, because it is also a free pass to not be engaged. You know what I mean? It could be like, I'm just going to disconnect because there's no way what they're saying applies to me. I have a girlfriend, and she said, because of course I bitched about this to her, and she thinks it's very fucking rude, because it is. I have to say, I think my conclusion is this feels rude, even if it's not intentionally rude, which is a whole other thing in itself. And I will mention that the mother at hand she seems like a nice, kind of respectable person, but she's also the kind of person that like would put a motivational quote in her WhatsApp description. I'm just going to leave that there. So anyways, my friend had a friend and they would always, get together and get along well. But this friend would bring sometimes another friend. And those two friends were Greek. And the friend of a friend, whenever she was around my friend, who is also Korean, she would just talk to the other girl in Greek for a very long time. And my friend would just have to sit there excluded. And it definitely to her felt like it was really rude and their way of sort of having like an inner circle without her. In this case, this is a person I've met for the first time on a Playdate in their home by invitation, and they're just taking these little dedicated language breaks. You know what? Speaking of language break, here's a potential solution. How about telling me, look, we've got this rule in our house. We've got this rule in our home. I minced words because, God, I need more bread. I don't know if I have shared this much, but I'm very busy. I have a lot to do, but for some reason, TikTok has me making bread from scratch. And then it just makes me angry that I'm not being as productive as I should be. The other thing I brought, because knowing that this story would make me angry, sometimes I leave these podcast episodes and I have a headache because I've become very stressed at these stories that I share with you. Even though I know what they are, they just get me all worked up and bothered. This is just a spray that a friend gave me. I'm going to put it in the air and smell it and relax after I finish this bread because I don't want to eat it. I also want to share that this person does this in front of children. My daughter said that when she was playing with this kid at school, the mother came by and was hanging out, and then they just kept talking French in front of my kid. And my kid probably felt like me. She just was like, oh, am I part of this or am I not? Am I not supposed to listen? Are they talking about me? Like, fuck this. I can take it and I can get annoyed about it and I can make a podcast episode, but exclude my child and you are kind of a fucking bitch, honestly. If this ever happened again, I mean, I really don't see a small group interaction happening again, but I can think of multiple funny things I could do. I literally might just Google Translate what she says in front of her because honestly, it's the airways are free, okay? You're not behind a curtain or in a locked room. I can use an app to translate what you're saying and be in on the fun. Or maybe I will make it awkward. Every time they stop talking, I'd be like, oh, I didn't get that because I don't speak that language. What were you talking about? Or like while they're saying it, just lean in and being like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, wouldn't that be fucking hilarious? Anyways, this is a kind of a difficult one for me to wrap my head around completely because I want to be sensitive about the need to preserve your culture and your language and things like that. But at the same time, I think that there are certain things that you should not do when you're around people, like make them feel excluded. And now I will exclude this person from my life. No, just kidding. I hope you're listening because every follower counts. Thanks. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Bothered. We'll be back next Wednesday, as we do. Tickets are going actually very quickly for my live Bothered podcast show on International Women's Day. That's March 8th, 2026 in Vancouver. I hope it goes well, and then we'll be able to come to other cities as well. We will be traveling to do a bunch of shows in Alberta, Calgary, Banff, also Edmonton. I'll be coming to Minneapolis and also Irvine, California, and Portland and Austin, and so many other things. Dates are always being added. Check me out at juliekimcomedy.com. Write me at bothered@juliekimcomedy.com. I'm gonna eat my bread now. Thank you.
Living like this, I might lose it. Living like this, I might lose it.